Dynamite Batman comes from a pretty weird place. It's hard to understate how big of a deal the 1989 Batman film was. It was an utterly dominant cultural phenomenon, and Sunsoft rode that with one of the best 8-bit action games. Well, now it's 1991, and Sunsoft has a bit of a problem. There's a new Batman movie coming out next year, but they're on the clock for their Batman license. Come 1992, it's up for grabs again, and every game company on Earth is going to be throwing all of their money at getting it. Turns out Sunsoft couldn't keep the license. Konami made the Batman Returns video games. But Sunsoft got one more game out of the series by making their own sequel to the Batman movie. Dynamite Batman is also known for being a very rare game, and so it winds up being another member of the 10,000 yen club. That group of games where if you wanted to buy a cartridge-only copy, you could expect to spend at least 10,000 yen. The plot of Dynamite Batman is that the Joker somehow survived his fall from on top of the cathedral and has come back for revenge. It's up to billionaire fursuit enthusiast Bruce Wayne to stop him. Dynamite Batman is a side-scrolling action game, and the very first thing you're going to notice when you start it up is just how good everything looks. The sprites here are some of the largest on the Famicom, though they got them by basically only ever having 2 characters on screen at once. And you've got some parallax scrolling going on. And there's plenty of stages that just seem like they wouldn't be reasonably feasible on the Famicom. Like here, you have to follow this tank for the entire stage. The tank has to be a background that isn't scrolling, but everything else is scrolling? That is a technical marvel on this system. In the action, the A button jumps, and the B button fires your main gun. Yep, this is another game where Batman goes around shooting everyone. You can fire straight ahead, or you can press up and B to shoot above you. No shooting at an angle, though. You start out with a tiny pea shooter, and it'll take a ton of hits to do anything to anybody with it. But as you smash open crates, you'll find weapon power-ups. You can hit the weapon power-ups to make them cycle through what they'll give you. And once you have a powered-up weapon, holding down B will charge it up for a special attack. The C weapon's probably the best weapon in the game. One very large, high-damage projectile. Plus, it explodes when it hits something, and that explosion does more damage. Charging it up gives you 4 projectiles that fire in a spread. The N weapon fires in a wave, which means that you're often going to have shots that go around people. Charging up this shot will turn it into a fire hose of damage. The S is a spread gun, firing tiny bullets upward. If you charge up this one, you get a spark that goes back and forth, spewing little sparks every once in a while. It's pretty useless. The final weapon is the B, and it gives you some very slow homing shots. This one behaves a bit differently from the other weapons when you charge it up. For the other charged weapons, you can charge as you move around and then release to fire. But for the B, you have to stand still because as soon as you push in a direction, the shot goes that way. The charged shot here is just a big fireball. Sometimes when you defeat an enemy, they'll drop a blank orb. Collect 8 of these and Batman becomes invincible for a short time and fires wildly in front of him. The orbs carry over between lives and continues, so you will eventually build up to that. The enemies in Dynamite Batman typically require 4 or 5 hits to defeat, which is why the powerful shots are so valuable here. The stage design in Dynamite Batman is a bit of a mess. Because they can really only put one enemy on the screen at a time, there's a bad tendency to place them where they can hit you instantly as they come on screen. And often that includes when you're jumping over a hole. There are a lot of creative set pieces and wonderful art design, but actually fighting the enemies is a pain in the neck. The boss battles aren't much better. When you enter a boss fight, you're given a numerical health meter that starts at 80,000. And your opponent has their own numerical health meter. Depending on the weapon you enter the boss fight with, you could just stand there and take their shots while pounding on them until they die, or it could take literally 3 minutes of damaging them continuously to finish them off. For most of the bosses, their attacks are extremely difficult to avoid, mainly due to the large size of your sprite. Getting a game over on a boss and then continuing sends you back to the start of the previous stage, but otherwise you have unlimited continues. A few of the stages are shoot-'em-ups, though your weapons work just like the regular stages. After the shoot-'em-up stages, there is no boss, you just go on to the next area. You can press start at any time to get a password that will let you pick up right from the stage where you're at. Dynamite Batman is mainly remembered in Japan for its striking visual style. And yeah, it's one of the games that makes you go, how is this system doing that? But I also find it not that much fun to play. It's not the worst game ever, not by a long shot, but only one of the 4 weapon power-ups is viable to use, and the action is slowed down a lot. This might look prettier, but I prefer playing the original Sunsoft Batman game. There's a lot more going on with that one. After you go, whoa, that's cool, there just isn't a whole lot of depth behind Dynamite Batman.